Hello and welcome to this week's Cats Whiskers TV. We'll have all the usual features, looking back on last week's games, looking ahead to next week's, and all the hot topics that you sent us as well. But this week we'll be joined by our special guest, Panthers forward Jonathan Boxill. But first, as ever, it's Paul Barham with the news.
I'm Paul Barham, and this is the CWTV News. Scientists measure Panthers title chances. Brent Pope chooses new hat for Sochi. Belfast fans keep an eye on the chasing pack. And that was the news.
Paul with the news there, and he joins us again, and I'm delighted to welcome our guest, Panthers forward Jonathan Boxill. Thanks for joining us, mate.
No problem, really looking forward to doing this, so it'll be a good experience.
Yeah. Let's see if you still feel the same way at the end. Okay, we're going to look back at the games from last week. We'll get the difficult ones out of the way first for you. So Thursday night in Cardiff, personally a good game for you, man of the match, couple of points, but you know, losing it at the end.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously haven't done as well as we'd like to in Cardiff this year. You don't want to be making excuses or anything, but it's a very different atmosphere to go and play it. Obviously, we're used to practicing here at the NIC, and it's Olympic-sized ice, and you go to Cardiff, it's a lot smaller, and they play well at their rink. They have guys. They obviously sign the right guys to play well at home. They sign big bodies, Beerbrier and guys like that who know how to play well. They're Faulkner. I mean, those guys, they really know how to do well on their rink, and I mean, we really looked good in the first and second period there. The system was working, and then the last 10 minutes, for whatever reason, it just, I don't want to say it fell apart, but it just, they got that power play at the end, and momentum was with them, and then obviously in overtime they got the goal, and that was a point that we could have done with. So it was I think we were making steps in the right direction with the first and second period, but it's a 60-minute game, and we really should have finished it out, but it was a tough game. Those are the ones that you're going to look back on the end of the year and think, maybe we should, if we'd have got that point, it could have made a bit of a difference. But there are positives to take from that game, that's for sure. Yeah,
I suppose the positive is we took a point from it, whereas other games in Cardiff we took none. So
exactly, yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly what we said after the game. We took a point from the game, and 2 is obviously what we go into every game hoping for, and it was a bit of a shame, obviously, to lose the way we did, but a point is, we'll take a point at the end of the day compared to none is what we've been doing at Cardiff this year.
Quick word on Cardiff, Paul, because they've had a lot of protests. There's obviously been a lot of problems off the ice there. There was, of course, the protests that took place outside before the game. However, they seem to be winning.
Yeah, well, I've just spent 20 minutes stood outside there to try and improve this show, but I don't think it's working. Yeah, I mean, we've talked before about they're playing together as a team, and and that's how it looked both in the game on Thursday and on Saturday night. So they're grinding the results out, and they're doing, the team themselves are obviously trying to ignore everything that's going on around them, and there's a lot of that, and they're just getting on with it, which is I guess as players what you've got to do.
Of course, Dave Whistle's now come in to take over as coach until while Brent Pope is in Sochi covering the Olympics for the BBC. That's a very good appointment for the Devils.
It is. I wonder if part of it is to appease the unhappy fans, bring the prodigal son back. That always cheers people up. I mean, look, when Newcastle United were getting relegated a few years back, they brought Alan Shearer in, fan favourite, to essentially take them down and I think try and soften the blow. But Dave Whistle knows what he's doing, and that's not going to do him any harm, really.
Moving on to Saturday, and of course Cardiff again, but here at the NIC. I think probably the only way to describe that game was disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly wasn't our best performance of the year. I think once again losing the way we did, those are the kind of games, as I said, that you're going to look back on, and you don't want to say what ifs or anything like that. But that certainly wasn't a performance that we were happy with. I think that once again there were actually some positives to take from the game. I think Killer actually had a very good game. I think Craig, obviously with what he's been through this year with his injuries, etc. I think he showed what he can do, and obviously he's more than proven himself here at the club with championships and his performances. But there were some positives. I thought Phil, the big defenseman we just signed, Big O as we call him, I thought he had a good game, and you can see. I mean, he played 10 games in the NHL, and he's obviously no mug, but he's finding his feet. The system he was actually saying is slightly different over here. It is a North American style in the Elite League, but the systems that Corey chose to play, they're new to him obviously, and I thought he had a good game. It was good to see Henley obviously do that what he did to Plumpton. Those are big things as a team. That we rallied around that, and we really should have done more with the momentum I think we got from that. But as you mentioned with Dave Whistle as a coach, I mean, I grew up watching the Bracknell Bees, and obviously he brought that Super League championship. So he's a first-class coach, and one thing he's actually really renowned for within sort of hockey circles is how good a sort of team coach he is. He's very, he has a very good relationship with his players, and I think obviously with as you mentioned, what's going on there as a club, it's kind of one of those things that they've kind of come together and thought, let's try and keep away from everything that's happening off the ice and just worry about that. And I think bringing Dave Whistle in is a huge asset. It would be a huge asset to any club, but a club with what they're going through right now, it can only do a positive thing. And he's a seasoned pro when it comes to winning championships and turning teams around, like I'm sure he's going to try and implement with Cardiff this year. But they've got some good players by Matt Myers and guys like that. Those are great hockey players, and they've got a good squad there. Guys like Ben Davis, they're hungry to prove themselves in this league. So that's a good team.
Paul, I think we was obviously talking in here after the game, and I think to quote your good self, neither team deserved to win that.
I knew I'd get that. I said something else, but I'm not repeating. It wasn't a classic, was it? It wasn't. Disappointing, but Cardiff came and they played their game. And some you win, some you lose. That's what happens. These things even themselves out over a season. No, I'm saving that for last night's game. But yeah, I mean, I tell you what I did think. I thought the atmosphere in the arena was very flat. If it hadn't been for the primary school in Block 18, it would have been very, very quiet. But
fair play to them. That block of school kids have tried to get things going in Block 18. Yeah. Do you actually hear them down on the ice, or are you too much in the zone?
In the middle of a game, when you have the puck or anything, you don't hear anything. But I mean, for me personally, when I came out for the Sheffield game at home, the Boxing Day back-to-back, just coming out to that atmosphere, I mean, it gives you goosebumps. And the atmosphere late in the third period in that game, when we were trying, it was tight. It was a very close game. You can't not hear it. Basically, it's that loud. But yeah, the DJ that night really knew where the noise would be coming from, and he made the most of what he could with the school kids there. But I mean, they seemed to they were happy enough just being there. But yeah, I mean, the crowd here is as loud as it gets, in my opinion. Obviously, this is my first year here, but I've played in every rink so far this year, in the atmosphere in the NIC, when it's rocking, it's first class. So no, we have great fans here. So
we'll move on to Sunday night, Coventry, another disappointing result. So still took an empty net goal for them to absolutely make sure of the points. But obviously there was a controversial moment with Ryan Janan's penalty shot, which has since been proved it was probably the correct call with the net coming up. But take all that aside, it was a hell of a move he pulled off.
I mean, he is. I mean, how many goals do you have? I think 42 goals.
Goals.
Yeah, I mean, he's a goal scorer. There's no other way to put it. He's certainly not. He's no one's friend out on the ice, I can assure you that. He's one of those guys. He plays with a lot of grit out there, but you look at his numbers where he's played. He's a goal scorer. There's no other way to put it. Guy puts the puck in the net.
Is that why he hits it?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan and I had a run in earlier in the year, but guys like that, you just got some of the stuff it takes a lot of guts to do that on a very. I mean, I don't know if I'd even try that in training. I mean, that was really, really, a gutsy move, and I didn't see it. I saw one referee wave it off, one linesman wave it off, and the referee called it a goal. I haven't actually seen the replay, but. It was in Coventry. It was his call at the end of the day, and he's going to do what he thinks right. And that was a big momentum switch. I can tell you that much from being on the bench. When he scored that goal and did that, and the crowd got into it. Coventry's a tough place to play. It's one of those places that Corey said yesterday. I mean, there's nothing better than winning in Coventry. The crowd, to their credit, they're passionate, but it's a tough place to go and play. Yeah. And I think it was about 2-3 weeks ago now, we had that, we had 9 guys on the bench or something like that, and we rallied to get that late win with Murray obviously scoring those goals. And then just the feeling coming out of the arena that night was great. But certainly the game this weekend was one we would have liked to win, but as I said, that those goals, especially that breakaway, the penalty shot goal that Jonan scored, it was a big momentum switch. But yeah, all credit to him. He's a great hockey player.
I mean, we was talking not a few shows ago about how Coventry and Cardiff were getting adrift towards the bottom of the league. They've gone on a real momentum run of results, both sides, and now it's really, really close again. I think between 2nd and 8th, and we'll look at the league table a little later, I think there's about 5 points between all those teams. I mean, that's incredible for a league like the Elite League.
Yeah, the race for 2nd is on, isn't it?
It certainly is. Yeah.
It is, but it's we've said before, it's good for the league. But and keeps games interesting a lot further into the year, and I think having the conference system as well as part of that. But we were talking about that Jonan penalty shot. We talk a lot about these things. How things balance themselves out over the course of the season. Well, look at that goal we got in Fife.
Absolutely, yeah.
And these things do balance themselves out. Sometimes sometimes they're shining down on you. Sometimes they're raining on you. Could have said worse.
Don't we all love karma? Anyway, there was 2 huge games over in Belfast at the weekend. Belfast taking on the Sheffield Steelers on Saturday and Sunday night. Scott Ancliffe was there.
Hi there, back from the Steelers-Giants doubleheader over in Belfast at the Odyssey. What can I say? Great weekend. First time I've ever been to Belfast in all the years I've been supporting the Steelers, and in the time that Belfast have been around. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Great weekend, great experience. First game on a Saturday, Steelers lost that one 4-2, but to be fair, the scoreline didn't really reflect how the Steelers played. Could have gone either way, to be honest. 2 great teams. You could see why the scores were so close, and they sort of battled it out. It had a kind of a playoff mentality about the games, and it was great to see the Steelers play so well despite losing both games, unfortunately. Not the best of starts for the Steelers. Jeff Swez, after just 13 seconds, cut in front onto the backhand in front of net. Steelers' defence were asleep, basically. Swez backhanded it past Doyle. Then Steelers responded almost instantly. Jonathan Phillips, after a minute 42, it was Johnny on the spot in front of the net just to tap home a loose rebound. Then Swez once again got his 2nd goal of the game. Backhand, he sort of circled around the net, wrap around in front and managed to lodge it past Doyle. Then second period were a scoreless one. Quite a penalty-filled one. Tom Darnell calling penalties on both sides. But Steelers really dominated that period. Just a lack of clinical finishing were, the only reason why we didn't go ahead. Both netminders during the game absolutely outstanding. Murphy stood on his head, and Doyle really played well as well. Third period, Adam Keefe, he scored in front of net, sort of diving, fell down, put the puck 5-hole. The guy's a warrior. Gives his all every shift. Great player for the league. Then that was 7 minutes 13 to the third period. Then Swez doubled, gave him a 4-1 lead, His hat-trick goal on the power play. Great player, swears he's always dangerous, and he proved that with a hat-trick against the Steelers on Saturday. And then Robbie Dowd against his former team responded in the 51st minute. Great goal from Dowd, one-time bullet on the power play, cracking goal. Despite obviously Steelers trying to fight back, they couldn't sort of hang on, they couldn't claw their way back into it. Giants just sort of subdued that pressure, absorbed it, and basically killed the game off. But Steelers, really didn't deserve, in my opinion, to lose. They deserved at least a point out of the game. Both teams outstanding, great game of hockey. So going on to Sunday, similar scoreline, 4-3 win for the Giants. Not a big crowd on the Sunday. I think the fans obviously favoured the rugby, and obviously due to the sort of religion in Belfast, the fans opted not to come to the game. But great crowd on Saturday, great atmosphere helped him. Sunday, similar story. Steelers played really, really well, but just very unfortunate. This time, Mike Hicks in charge. Always fun when Hicks is about. Steelers very unlucky, like I say. In the first period, same again. They got off to a perfect start. Belfast. Davy Phillips with his first goal of the season after an offensive face-off win for the Giants. He just blasted a shot from the point, top shelf through traffic, went high over Doyle's shoulder. He couldn't see that. Great goal from Davy Phillips. Scores one a year, and it's a massive one. Great goal. Steelers responded. It were a bit like Groundhog Day. Steelers come back a couple of minutes later on the power play. Jeff Legui, trademark bullet from the point once again for his 23rd goal of the year. Then late on in the first period, Craig Peacock grabbed a goal for the Giants at 17:51. Another power play goal. Pretty good move from Peacock after a nice pass from Rob Sandrock. A couple of great players linking up there. Steelers dominated the second period, really played well. We got a goal 49 seconds into the second period. Dustin Coney snuck in back post, out-muscled Dustin Whitecotton, and just sort of tapped home a rebound what came out to him. Then we got another goal towards the end of the period. Chad Langley in the 35th minute against his former team. Great goal from Langley. Nice pass from Stephen Mayer. Did some really good work behind the net along the boards. And just fed Langley. Langley skated in, dipsy dangled around a couple of players, and just put it top shelf past Murphy. Great goal from Langley. And then third period, a couple of goals for the Giants. Firstly, Peacock, his second goal of the game, a minute 34 into the third period. And then Kevin Surratt on the power play in the 46th minute. He tipped home a Robbie Sandrock bullet from the point. So 4-3 loss for the Steelers on a Saturday, but like I said, very, very unlucky for the Steelers to leave Belfast empty-handed. Giants, they played really well, and obviously it's looking like they're going to take that title. 19 points in front now. Don't think no one's going to be able to catch them, and they deserve it. They've been the most consistent team all year. They've been relatively injury-free. They've not made any player changes. So having that consistency, 3 great lines, a strong decor, and obviously Murphy in net, an outstanding goaltender. Credit to the Giants, they deserve it. But well played Steelers this weekend. Big games coming up against Nottingham, a couple of games there in the league and the cup, and then one against Coventry. So it should be a good week for the Steelers. Hopefully use the sort of run the kind of point together to help us out there. But overall, great weekend, very enjoyable. 2 games of hockey.
Scott there, who was in Belfast over the weekend. The Giants, they just seem to be going on and on and on, and 19 points clear at the top. That's a phenomenal gap.
I think they're definitely making the most of their name, the Giants, this year. They certainly are it's a very, very good hockey club there. I think obviously they've been very fortunate with injuries this year. I think that's something that hasn't been a factor for them whatsoever this year. Every single one of their guys has maintained, being fully healthy, and every single guy on their team, just from my observation, we played them this year, every single guy that has a role on their team, every time we played against them has done it well. Obviously we had that one big win at home. We've got to take into consideration the fact that every single guy on the team that we played against this year that has a certain job to do, whether it's third, fourth line guy up to the top, the Surratts and those guys, it seems to be every night they can consistently win, producing and doing what they've got to do, and that's what wins championships. They are a very, very good hockey club, and they play a good system, and they really, really seem to be on. They're on a roll this year, and there's no other way to put it. And they've got some great hockey players there with some great resumes who have come in and have really done what you'd expect them to do, and that's a first-class organisation over there. And as I said, that's the thing I've noticed is down to the bottom guys, to the top guys, to the goaltenders, everything. Everyone who has a role has accepted their role and is doing it, and that's what wins championships. But that's a very, very good ice hockey team, over there. So we've got some chances to get some redemption this year. Still got to play them a few times, and if we can get some momentum and get some games and some wins under our belts against them, then that would be huge for us as a club. And obviously we can do it. We've proven it, and we had that big, that great performance here at home maybe a couple months ago now. But we've beat, I think, twice. We've beaten them this year.
We've beaten them twice here and lost twice over there. So exactly. It's very even.
It's even. Exactly. That's exactly it. So it's going to be interesting. There's still some pride on the line for us against that club, and obviously there's two. The league's not over yet. It's not an easy thing to come back from, but there's two big trophies for us this year. Trust me, those are two big goals for us this year that we still, everyone in that, I can't stress enough, everyone in that changing room believes that we can still succeed as a team. No one has any doubt. We're a good hockey club. There's been a lot of road bumps this year, but you don't want to ever make excuses in sport. You're given the cards that you're dealt with, and we are. I can't stress enough. We are a good hockey club, and there is everyone on that team is doing everything they can to win games, etc. So. That starts from the management down to the coaches, the trainers. Everyone's trying to pull together here, and hopefully it will all pay off. I'm sure it will. So, but no, as I said, Belfast is a first-class organisation, and I'm looking forward to playing them again. I am personally looking forward to playing them again. But that's a good team. It's a very good team.
To quickly cover off Saturday's other games, so Dundee against Braehead, which was a 5-3 win for the Clan, and they're starting to climb back up into contention once again. They are.
That's a good win. And any time where you beat the team you're competing with is good.
Of course, Coventry had the 4-point weekend with an 8-2 victory against Edinburgh. I think they were 6-0 ahead in that game, and then allowed Edinburgh to score a couple of goals, but still finished at 8-2. So a bit sad for the Caps, because they appear to be going back downhill again, where they had a bit of a lift and they were winning a few games, but now they've sort of they've fallen back to where they were, sadly.
Yeah, unfortunately so. Apparently they can't win the league, but they're more Fife apparently. So. Belfast are in the playoffs. It is sad. Saying before about the league, how close the league is, to see teams adrift like that, it doesn't help. And it doesn't help their fans. Edinburgh. The biggest problem Edinburgh have got selling seats, I think, is their rink. It's big, it's cold, the seats are uncomfortable.
Yeah, but I love it there. That's the sort of rink I really enjoy going to.
Yeah, but would your backside enjoy it, sitting there 2.5 hours every week on those seats that might have had stuffing in about 1950 and have got 1950 proportions? So, but yeah, it's but starting later than everybody else doesn't help them, and then where they're held back, you do feel a bit sorry for them, because it's. You can't see how it'll end for them, how it'll improve.
Okay, well, our final game on Saturday was Hull against Fife at Hull Arena. Sam Barn was there.
Stingrays against the Flyers. It was a good 4-1 win for the Stingrays. Barnes made some very good saves in a very end-to-end game. He was very solid. Regan was quite good as well for the Flyers. Obviously, 2 of Hull goals were empty nets that came at the end, where Tendler scored both of them. Obviously, still with the Stingrays. All in all, it was a very good game for the Stingrays. It's 2 more points in their conference. They're looking very good at the top, and yeah, very good.
Hi, I'm Rob Lakovich and you're watching Cats Whiskers TV.
So we're going to look at the remaining games from Sunday night. Hull against Cardiff. So Cardiff coming away with a shootout victory, and they just keep winning.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as I said earlier in the show, that's a good hockey club, and that is a big win for them. It's obviously it's another home win for them, which is obviously good for the fans. But they, as I said, they keep winning, and a shootout win for them is that I can tell you right now it's a fun way to win games. Obviously, you want to win in 60 minutes, but when you win in a shootout or an overtime like that, it just feels a little bit sweeter. And that I can tell you right now, that team's building momentum. I mean, obviously getting a new coach, and as we said earlier, they're rallying around. They're coming together as a team. I think, as we said earlier, they've just decided maybe as a group that whatever's going on away from the rink with ownership and stuff like that, they can't control that. You know, you're always taught control the controllables, and all they can do is control their performance as a team. And they have clearly come together, and they are making a push. And that's a great hockey club. And with guys like Mark Richardson out the lineup when he comes back, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with. But yeah, all the credit to them with Dave Whistle and the systems which he's implementing.
Quick word for Hull, because they've really pushed on this season. A lot of offensive power in that team. They must be a difficult team to play.
Yeah, I mean, guys like Jeremy Tendler, and Jason Silverthorne, Matt Davis is having a big year. Obviously, he's had issues with injuries, but he's having a real breakout year. I think he's, obviously that push to make the national team is something that's motivating him. But I mean, guys like Jeremy Tendler, he's guys like Janand, when they have the puck, you can see that he has an offensive threat. But with Tendler, it's just one of those things that the puck's on his stick, and all of a sudden you're like, how did that go in the net? But it's not fluke by any means. I'm not saying that, but he's one of those guys. He's a very, very sort of shifty player out there, and he's very, very talented guy. And once again, the Klutz has got them under a certain system, and they play it well. But those guys like Silverthorne and Tendler, I mean, those are good hockey players. And they've got that Doucette now as well.
Yes.
I mean, he has had some big,
He's scoring at the same level as Tendler, nearly as many as Janand. So.
Yeah, I mean, I saw him the other night. I think he had 6 or 7 points in a game or something like that. He had 3 or 4 goals, 2 assists or something like that. And he's a very good hockey player. He's not a big guy on the ice, but he uses his speed well. But yeah, Tendler and Doucette, when they play together and they're on, there's a good team. They've obviously got that big defenseman Smith, who he uses his size very well. And obviously Ben Bounds in goal. He's obviously a great British goaltender. He's proven himself in that game. It's a close 2-1 game, and he's obviously a British goaltender, which is good for British ice hockey, that we've got guys like that who can, he can play. I mean, the guys keeping them in games and stuff like that. But I would imagine that would be, just from looking at that score and those two teams, I can imagine that was a fun game to watch. Just watching those two systems go against each other.
Of course, the reverse of Dundee and Braehead in Dundee. Dundee coming out 3-2 winners this time, so that keeps them up in second place. Well, I know we say it nearly every week, but what an incredible season for the Stars.
They are, and it's good when when you beat the teams that you're competing against. When you beat them, that's always good. Yeah, it is. But we have said it before, and they are having a really good season. They're keeping up there, and I don't think anybody expected it to start the season, but it's the same thing. They're playing together as a team. They know what they're doing. When we played them, down here, you could tell they knew what the coach wanted of them, and they knew the systems and played to them.
Final game was, of course, Fife against Edinburgh. Fife skating away with a 5-1 victory, which will help their momentum. But do you feel it's probably too little, too late for both Fife and Edinburgh in the playoffs now, or do you think one of them could still sneak in there?
Well, they can't win the league.
Well,
who knows? I mean, I said last week that I didn't think. Was it last week? Might be the week before. I didn't think they would, but. I like Fife, I like Edinburgh. I like as teams that they were the ones that I remember watching when I was 11, 12, 13 years old. Yes, I have been that young, and so it's you want to see teams like that, places like that, because you go up there and the fans love the hockey. I'm not saying they don't anywhere else, but you can tell they love the hockey up there.
Okay. Right, well, Jonathan, you're going to stay with us for the rest of the show?
I am, yes. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. All right,
I'm going to go then?
Yeah, you better get off, yeah. Okay. off. We'll be back shortly. So going to grab a few words with Jonathan, our guest for this week. So this is obviously your first season as pro in the UK, but going back, you spent 4 seasons, I think it was, with New England College in America in the NCAA. For you, as being probably the only Brit on the team and one of a few foreigners who play in that league, was it difficult or was it quite an easy transition?
I think at first it was obviously a difficult transition. The main reason I went is because the combination of academics and athletics was obviously something very important to me, and everything that you are provided with enables you to succeed in both. You know, one of the big selling points for me was that the team at New England College, the ice arena, is literally on campus and was 5 minutes from my dorm room, and because it was our arena, we could literally practice whenever we wanted to. The ice was open all day, so you had a very structured schedule with classes and stuff like that. So, you know, breakfast, class, open ice, you know, go shoot pucks, class again, gym, training, and then you have dinner or do whatever you want. But at first, obviously, it was a big transition, and there was some adjustments made. But it's funny, people always ask me, like, did you miss home and stuff like that? And obviously, yeah, there were quite a few things about home that I missed, food and my family and stuff like that. But in this day and age with iMessage and Skype and FaceTime and all this sort of stuff, it was so easy to keep in contact with my parents. I was actually in the States for 8 years, and I remember when I first went there, I didn't have a mobile out there or anything like that, and my dad's kind of old school and still writes letters and stuff. He still to this day writes me letters in Nottingham. I didn't have a mobile out there, and I would only speak to them. We had phones on each dorm row, and I'd speak to my parents once every 2 weeks. And I can remember at first, it was obviously, I was 16, I was new to it, and it was tough at first. But by the time I was at college, and I was very settled in, it was a lot easier when I first went over there. But I loved it. I mean, it was a great opportunity for me, and it was a given opportunity for me to get my degrees, which is obviously something that I'll be utilising in the future after hockey. And with the hockey side of it, it was great. As I said, you could practice as much as you wanted to, and the level over there is obviously a good level. But yeah, I mean, it was a great opportunity. I was very fortunate that my parents were willing to make that sacrifice for me, and it was a great opportunity, and I'm glad I took it. To be honest with you, there's some people who have done well, obviously, with the university route in this country. Lacko and Matt Myers, those guys, especially Matt Myers, are coming to Nottingham, doing his degree at Trent, I believe, or uni. He went to school here and playing for the Panthers. Obviously, he's done amazingly well. The way he's progressed and how he's an elite Brit now, and he's seen as a big threat for Cardiff, and he's one of the best players for the national team, etc. But it was for me, it was the right move at the time, and I'm glad I did it.
Obviously, in this country, we know NHL, AHL, ECHL, CHL. NCAA is probably not as well known over here, and you use it the third tier, I believe, of NCAA. Just try and compare. What's the standard like there compared to what hockey fans in Britain would know? Well,
a lot of what it is most guys sort of play it before they go to the pros. So I can give you a couple examples of guys on the team this year that played NCAA. I mean, Chris Murray played there, Capreros played there, Kowalski played there, Werner, Joe Jensen was an NCAA player, a bunch of guys. And it's kind of the decision you have to make is you either go and play Major Junior, which is what guys like Salters, I mean, basically all the other imports did. You either play NCAA or you play OHL or Major Junior. And I would say the level I played at, Division 3, was probably high-end EPL, I would say. Maybe some low-end EPL Elite League teams, but you're playing against men at this level. That's the biggest thing that I noticed, and it seems rather obvious, but guys who are 23, 24, you can get some big 23, 24-year-olds, but when you're playing against seasoned veterans who know how to use their size and etc., it's a different game. And there's a lot more systems over here in the Elite League, especially with Corey as a coach. Maybe at college you're given a bit more free rein to just go out and play. You're kind of told, all right, this forecheck, do it, and when you get the puck in the zone, create some offense. Whereas with Corey and at this level, guys are so good that you don't have free rein. You play a system, and that's what you do. Otherwise, you will be exposed, and you'll be made to look stupid. So that's what I would say. I would say it's low-end Elite League, high-end EPL, around that sort of level. I mean, you get some guys that we had a couple of guys that went straight to the East Coast League after they were done. You see some very, very rare cases of guys making the AHL. Two or three guys over the last 5-6 years have made the NHL, played a couple of games, but it's not, obviously, as I said, it was Division 3 level, it wasn't Division 1, which those Capreros and Murrays played, but it's that decision you have to make when you're about 18, 19 of whether you want to go major junior or whether you want to go to the collegiate route, and I decided to go collegiate route, mainly for the academic side. That was my decision.
Obviously, you've come here for your first pro season. How different is it?
It's very different. I think you're expected to be a pro at this level. It seems like a very obvious thing to say, but when it comes down to your nutrition and the way you treat your body and the way you are off the ice, at this level you have to be willing to make those sacrifices. At college, maybe you could, with maybe excuses of homework and distractions away from the rink, but at this, with what the facilities we have here at NIC and the trainers and guys like that, you're expected to be a pro. And I remember when I spoke to you earlier in the year, one of the biggest things I said is how when I first got here there was a lot of guys who kind of took me under their wing and showed me how to be a pro, how to do things like this. I never did this when I was at college. You don't get interviewed. How to eat right, how to prepare for games and stuff like that. Because especially with what we've had with the Continental Cup this year, that being implemented our season, playing 3-4 games in a week, it's hard. It is hard. With the travel and come in the next day and be ready to practice and be ready to go for each game, because there's no. As you mentioned, this is a competitive league. There's no off nights here, and you need to be ready to go every single day. And guys like Brent Henley, who I was living with at the beginning of the year, and now Lee Salters and Lacko. People still say Lacko's a kid and stuff like that, but he's been in this league a long time now, and he's a proven. He's one of the best Brits in the league, and he, I'm sure he doesn't like. I don't like to admit it, but with him being younger than me, but he's shown me how to be a professional Brit and go about my business in a professional way every day, and that's essential at this level.
Of course, you mentioned that you are obviously living with Lee Salters and Robert Lakovic, and looking at social media, you tend to have a few practical jokes played on you.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that they do actually like me. If anyone reads it and thinks that they don't, I'd like to think maybe you'd have to get them on the show and ask them. But they, it's all in good fun. We have, sometimes maybe they have a little bit more free time on their hands than they should do. But I think if you actually read into it a bit more, I think it's Tom Norton that we're actually all kind of teaming up against. I mean, maybe the catalyst involved in it, but I think the hashtag Find Norton, Nort's watch and stuff like that. What he gets up to in his free time, I don't know. Maybe if someone can find him downtown sometime on a Monday night, you might find out a bit more about that. But it's all light-hearted fun, and they're both really good guys. I've known Lacko. We laugh about some of the times we played against each other when we were a lot younger in conference tournaments, and the under-10s nationals that I played in the old arena here, and we lost to Sheffield, and we've known each other a long time. We played the national team together, played GB together, so we've and Stevie Lee and those kind of guys. That was one of the main things I was excited for when I first got here. Is I haven't obviously played in this country in a long time, but playing with those guys again and kind of reliving some good memories and stuff. But no, they're great roommates, and we have a lot of fun.
Just finally, obviously, you've been here now probably 5-6 months. You've got into the Panthers team, and you've become a sort of cult hero, a bit of a fan favourite. How does that make you feel?
It's just obviously it's nice when people like the way you play, and like you as a person. I think one of the biggest things I try and do every night is just work hard. I mean, people you know, to be brutally honest here, people pay their hard-earned money to come watch us, and you know, I think there's a lot of. I just remember when I was watching, and that's one thing I always try and do, whether it's take the time to talk to fans, and you know, just give just give people the respect to sort of, you know, say hello and be polite with people. I think that's essential in any aspect of life, but you know, especially the people that come there and make the sacrifices to you know, buy our shirts and come to games and stuff like that. But when you're on the ice and stuff, just work hard. You know what I mean? If you're working hard and you're doing what you can as a player and giving your best, I know people appreciate that, and that's what I try and do every night for the fans and for the team, etc. Is just you do your best. Don't work hard. Don't be lazy. Don't try and take shortcuts, because a lot of people who watch our games, you know, like yourself and everyone who's here right now, is, you know, you guys have been watching hockey for a long time, and you know the game, and I think, you know, if you see people who are taking shortcuts and maybe trying to, you know, be selfish or doing things like that, then, you know, people don't like that. You know, people like, you know, people who work hard and do what they can to produce. And if, you know, people like the way I play, like the way I am, that's, you know, it's great, and I couldn't be happier. Honestly, you know, as I said to you earlier in the interview at the beginning of the year, because obviously it was early doors then, but I couldn't be happier for me personally how everything's worked out. You know, living and, you know, the way we get treated in the arena and the fans, and how, you know, just how professional it is here. I mean, I would love to, you know, I'd like to be here for, you know, a good few years and win some championships and stuff here, and that was one of the main reasons I signed it. I mean, I've had a lot of friends that have come through here, and every person who's ever played in Nottingham, as far as I know, I mean, everyone sings the praises of playing here. It's, you know, it's renowned for being one of the best places, I mean, if not the best place to play. And you know, when I got the offer from Corey this summer when I was still in the States after school, you know, I jumped on it. It was you know, the moment that offer was made, there was nowhere else really that I considered, and I couldn't be happier the way things have worked out for me personally this year. You know, obviously the injuries, etc., and stuff like that, it's not what we want as a team, but for me it's given me a great opportunity to play, and you know, I'd like to think I've done what I can with the opportunities that I've been given. And as I said, it's just go there and work hard. I know the fans appreciate when a team works hard, and I think that's something I try and do every day. And you know, if I can, as you said against Cardiff, you know, if I can produce and get some goals and produce in that way, and that's great. But it's just working hard and, you know, be willing to do what you can to help the team out.
Well, thanks for the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi, I'm Tom Norton, and you're watching Cats Whiskers TV.
Okay, so we've got a few of your tweets for hot topics. Thanks for sending them in again this week. I'm going to start off with Philip Armstrong. He says, any views about the playoffs being moved on a yearly basis between the arena teams? I shall start with you, because I know you like this topic.
It comes up every year, don't it? I mean, the answer is no. Well, at least not in the foreseeable future. The Elite League's got a contract with the NIC for at least a couple more years, and I said it last year, I'll say it again this year, this is the only really viable location. Because you've got the infrastructure, you've got the arena smack in the centre of town, it's got the infrastructure around it. Sheffield is out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's in Sheffield for a start, but compared to Sheffield, it's in the middle of nowhere. And Belfast, you've not got the infrastructure to get people over there. You know, we went on the ferry on just a normal Friday afternoon for that the game in March last year, and the ferry was 3/4 full. What's it going to be like when you've got all the people's travelling to the Odyssey, and can the flights take it? And you know, why do we have to move it to the Odyssey to please, you know, 10% and upset 90% of the fan base?
I think, my personal opinion is, I think a playoffs will work in Belfast, but I think it needs a lot of notice for it to happen.
You know what the real reason I don't want it to move, is it?
Why?
It's cheaper for me here.
There you have it. What about the players? I mean, does it make a difference? I mean, obviously, if we make it, this is going to be your first playoffs here, but it must make a difference playing at home than it would do somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, obviously being at home, you have your home comforts. We'd have our home change room and stuff like that. I've actually seen the playoffs as a fan. I came about 6 or 7 years ago. I was actually having knee surgery. I was back in the country, and Mark Richardson, who was playing here at the time, was very kind enough to give me tickets, so I experienced it as a fan. And you know, the footage you see and what I saw as in person, it was, you know, it's a great place to play any game, but it's one of the, I'm a strong believer in the fact if it's not broken, don't fix it. And clearly the package that we have here at the NIC, the production, that, you know, the whole product that gets, you know, given to the fans for the weekend, seems pretty good to me. I think there is an argument for the other side of it. But I remember obviously huge rumour mill, someone saying that there was people were contemplating it being back at Manchester in the MEN. I have no idea about that. I mean, I don't know.
No ice plan for us.
Well, exactly. That was my thing. I mean, I remember it obviously being back in the Super League days, but yeah, there's no ice plant there. But I think here at the NIC it's good. Like, no one's ever come away from the playoff weekend and thought, oh, that was rubbish. Like, I didn't enjoy that. If it's not broken, don't fix it. But as you said, as a player, having your home, being your home arena, there is an argument that it's, we have maybe slightly more comfortable for us, but from what people have said, the games are not comfortable. Every team that's at the playoff weekend is hungry to prove themselves and to win the championship. So it's an interesting argument.
Okay, well, on the back of that, we had a few tweets from Colin Basford about, to sum it up, he was basically saying that perhaps all 10 teams should qualify for the playoffs to give those bottom teams something to play for. Is that something you can envisage happening, or should it be that there are teams that miss out?
I mean, obviously, there is an argument for including those teams for the promotion of the clubs, etc. Maybe the financial, benefits they might get. But I think if you invite everyone, it doesn't make it as special. Maybe someone has to win, someone has to lose, and if it's not as if every team gets a gold medal at the end. It's there's one winner, and people have to be cut off as you go through the process of winning that championship. And I personally don't think every team should be able to make it, because it's, as I said, it's. There's only one team that wins it. So if you start cutting teams out earlier rather than later, it makes it more exciting. So,
Paul, the other thing is, how do you get 10 into 4?
Yeah.
Do 9 and 10 play each other? That gives you 9 teams. Do then 8 and 9 play each other? Or 7 and 8 and then 8 and 9 and they play?
I can see where Colin's coming from, but it'd be a logistical nightmare to work out. I think
short time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will move on. Our next tweet, something completely different, from Tom Middleton, saying, Tom Darnell has tweeted the penalty shot ruling from last night. Would it be good if the league did this more often or not? Paul, I'll come to you first.
Yes.
Yes, it would. Yes, please expand.
Philip. Well, I think as fans, one of the things we call for a lot of the time is transparency, and that's something the league is getting better at. We've seen the transparency this year with Murray Hansen explaining the inexplicable at times bans, but his reasoning behind them, why people have got what they've got. But I mean, having a rule book that everybody knew where it was. And knowing, I mean, Tom's tweet was directly from the IIHF rulebook. We don't know how much the NHL doesn't use all those rules. We don't know as fans how much.
I think it is pretty much follows the IIHF rulebook, apart from the exceptions, which, to be fair, are printed on the Elite League. Yeah, but they are on the Elite League website.
So we follow everything except the exceptions. Yeah, that's sort of normal. But I mean, I think it can only help, especially in this the climate we're in now, where you've got social media, where everybody can jump on a bandwagon, as quick as before a game's ended, practically about something. I mean, it would have been nice if it had happened in Fife way back in September, October. At least people know where they stand then, and referees get enough criticism as it is. So if we can stop them getting unfair criticism, then they can just suffer the fair stuff.
I mean, I personally like it. I think it's great that you took the time to come on and explain the rule, and it's only going to help the education of the fans as well. I mean, I said a couple of weeks ago, all the fans should go and read the rule book, because it may get a bit of understanding. But obviously, from your unique perspective as a player, what's your thoughts on it?
I mean, I think, you know, knowledge is power. If someone can, you know, justify what your decision is, I think that's no bad thing. As you mentioned with social media, I think, you know, a lot of people follow that nowadays, and if that's what gets the information out to people faster and in an easier way, then that's a great thing. I think it's just the world we live in now. You know, it's, you know, people maybe have to move with the times. I think if people want to be in the loop, which I know fans do, and we as players do, you know, we want reasons for certain things that may happen. I think it's no bad thing.
Okay, so we will move on to our next one. So it comes from Rubber Puck. Great name. Are you less disappointed this year than you would have been other years after last season's success? This year I've taken it on the chin. Before last season I'd be spitting feathers by now.
That's cannibalism.
I've got to admit, I am far calmer this season with the way things are than I would have been in previous seasons. I think it is probably because of the success we had this season. It does calm you down and chill you out a little bit, I must admit. But, you know, your thoughts?
I'm far calmer than you are anyway.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, I mean, it's not like we've had many seasons like last year, is it? And so this year, a lot of things considered, has been a bit of a train wreck. Injuries. I mean, I've never known an injuries like it.
All the years I've been watching.
Yeah, you know, I'm not saying we'd be winning the league if it hadn't been for those, but I think we'd be a lot closer, perhaps. But does it make it better? Or it feels more normal. I think I'll leave it at that.
Obviously, there's going to be a lot of disappointment in the locker room, because and it must be quite difficult for the players coming in from that, because it's quite a new squad that it was this season, coming in from such immense success last season. So it sort of puts a lot of pressure on you before the season's actually begun.
Yeah, I mean, obviously what the team did last year is, I mean, it's something that I can imagine it was unforgettable for fans, and I know the players who were involved said it was just, you know, it was a dream season as an experience for a lot of guys. I mean, that pressure was there at the beginning of the year, and it was obviously a lot to live up to. But as I said earlier in the show, in regards to making excuses and stuff like that, yeah, you can fall back on injuries and guys retiring and leaving and guys coming in and out and stuff like that, but you know, you don't want to ever sort of come away making excuses and with a sour taste in your mouth. It's been one of those years. You know, I've said to a couple of guys, maybe did someone kill an endangered species at the beginning of the year? I have no idea why maybe this bad luck has come with us in regards to injuries. And the other thing you have to remember is the guys who have been getting injured, they're not small pieces of the team. They're, you know, huge pieces. You know, when Killer went down, you know, obviously Neil Conway did great when he was here. I thought, you know, there were some games he really, you know, he won us some big games when he was here. But when Killer went down and he was injured, I mean, he's a huge part. I mean, obviously I wasn't here last year, but he was a huge part of that championship team, and he's a huge part of our locker room. And those, you know, guys like Werner and Stevie Lee especially, you know, and obviously having Henley out the lineup as well, they put a lot more pressure on certain guys like Salters and stuff with a more physical aspect to the game. And it's just been one of those years for injuries and stuff like that. And I mean, I on a personal level, I hope people respect the guys, the effort guys have made, that have sort of, when they're playing, you know, if we're down with 9 guys on the bench, the biggest thing is this. I think even this weekend's a prime example of it. They may not have been the results that we wanted, but it's not as if, you know, as I mentioned earlier, it was not as if guys were being lazy. Guys are trying, and I think the fans, certainly from the interaction I've had and from what you see and what you can feel in the arena, I feel like fans still appreciate that. I mean, it's obviously not the results we want, but it's not. I think if I was a fan, I would be more disappointed if we had a healthy team and guys were losing just on being lazy. That would frustrate me a lot more, rather than being a short bench, guys are trying hard, and that you don't want to say it's not a factor and you should play through and stuff like that. But you know, especially guys, I mean, a prime example is Weaver, in my opinion. I mean, he has been playing huge minutes. Murray before he left, I mean, those guys were playing 40 minutes a night, and Weaver, who, he's obviously not as young as he used to be, and he still plays like a young guy, blocking shots and all these kind of stuff, and it does have wear on you. And I think that's just one thing I would like to get across, is that these guys are just trying so hard with the bodies that we do have. But that's just my opinion. I just know if I was a fan, I'd be much more upset if it was if we had a healthy team and we were losing because we were just being, guys weren't trying hard. That would really annoy me.
Okay, and the final one that we're going to go to today, if I can find it. There we go. Kristen Langston. So, do you think the departure of Joe Grimaldi was the right thing to do, as we were already a defender down, and it has had a negative effect on the team? So, Grimaldi, I think he polarised opinion amongst the fan base.
Hockey Marmite. So is that what you're looking for? He did. I don't know. Will he? Has it had a negative effect? I don't know. We lost 2 games at the weekend when he didn't play him. But is that entirely down to him? Maybe. You've got to look at the other teams playing well against us as well. It seemed a strange decision to me, but we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. But it was fun while it lasted.
I mean, I think from my point of view, he was on social media a lot. He came across as a real character, and there's seldom few of them left in the game these days. But on the other side of the coin, that obviously got him into trouble in games. He obviously had the 4-game suspension. I mean, I'm certainly not going to break dressing locker room confidence and ask you about it, but he was a character.
Yeah, I mean, he, just on. Sometimes in pro sports, it doesn't work out for whatever reason with a player in a team, or whatever. Anyone involved in any working place, it might not work out. And I think one thing that you have to remember is that Gary and Corey obviously have the fans and the team and the entire organisation's best intentions at heart. So if it's their opinion that the best decision is for Grimaldi and Joe obviously not to be involved with the team anymore, they've been doing this a lot longer than I have, and they've been involved in it, and their intention is to win games. And if they believe that the best intention for the club is to remove a player, then that's something you have to trust in them. But no, I mean, Joe, on a personal level, I thought Joe was always really nice to me, and he worked hard and stuff. But it just sometimes in sports it just doesn't work out. And I know everyone at the club, Gary and Corey, everyone wished him well and wished him the best in his future career. And I think they parted on good terms. So it's just, as I said, it's sometimes in sports it doesn't work out, and maybe that's what happened. But I just can't stress enough that Gary and Corey have the club's best intentions at heart, obviously.
Okay. Well, once again, thanks for sending your tweets in with your topics for us to discuss, and we will be doing the same again next week. Going to look ahead to the fixtures coming up at the weekend, and it would be churlish not to start with a huge rivalry, of course. Panthers against Steelers at the NIC on Saturday night. I suppose these are the games that you, as a pro, you live to play in.
Oh, I mean, if you can't get up for these kind of games, you don't have a pulse. I mean, they're coming out even. The one that really amazed me was coming out for warm-ups, because usually when you come out for warm-ups, we have a lot of fans here. I remember I came out for warm-ups in the first game, and it was already pretty much sold out for warm-ups. It was amazing coming out for the game. But this is a huge game for us. I mean, this is a really, really big game for us to try and get back on the horse and get back to winning ways. And I think Sheffield's obviously got a bit of momentum now. They've had some good wins coming up, but if we can get some get some traction here and have a good week of practice. But this is a big game for both teams, and it's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be a good test for us. I think this is obviously Killer's now beginning to get back to what he was before, prior to his injury. Obviously he's done well so far, but I think this is a big test for us as a hockey club, and I know we're all excited for it. As I said, this is the games you kind of look forward to, and I on a personal level, I can't wait for this game.
Of course, you scored in the last home game against Sheffield here, so hoping to continue that.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, it would have been nice to get the win. Obviously, losing in overtime wasn't fun, but on a personal level, yeah, I mean, it was an awesome experience. First time on live TV and scoring a goal. I think it was a bit of a lucky one. I closed my eyes and kind of found its way in the net. But no, it was really, for me on a personal level, it was one of the more exciting parts of my career. Scoring a goal in front of a sold out NIC with thousands of people there. It was a fun experience, and I was lucky enough. My girlfriend from the States was over, and she got to see it in person. So yeah, try to act as if I did it. I scored on. Yeah, I told her that happens all the time, and yeah. So no, on a personal level, it was nice to score a goal and produce, but it would have been nice to get a win. But we're a hungry team right now, and so are they. So it should be a really interesting test for us, and obviously that's a good squad over there.
Sunday night sees us travel to the Hull Arena. We are going up for that one.
We are.
Hull are an incredibly entertaining team this season, and they've put together a fantastic squad. And we know from the last time he was there, it's by no means a given that we'll get anything out of that game, because they pretty much gave us the runabout last time, so we've really got to be on our guard for that one.
They did. They came out and gave us a lesson in shooting. I mean, and as well, the game the other week down here, those first 2 periods, we were out shooting them. But they gave us, a lesson in how to take your chances, and that's what you've got to do. Well, you've got to do is what you can do against any team, but a team like Hull, because they've got the firepower, and I think the difference for them this year, they've brought Doucette in, but I think it's the defence as well. He's got Cloutier's got the defence playing better. I think he's got a better defence. Bounds
is having a cracking season.
He's improved leaps and bounds, hasn't he? Yeah, another terrible joke. It's not as bad as you want to see the ones from last week. They're even worse. But it's you can take nothing for granted going into Hull, but should be a good game.
Because it's not an easy place to go and get a result, is it, Hull? Because you can probably hear everything the away fans are shouting at you.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you hear everything they say. They're very passionate, and when you're walking out past their home fans, it's obviously that's a passionate group there. I think that's all I'll say on that. But they they're it's a fun place to play. It's easy to get emotionally invested in those games, because it's such a it's kind of a tense atmosphere there. But as you said, that's a good hockey club there. I mean, Klutz has got them under a very good system, and guys like Tendler, and they're the kind of club that they may not get as many opportunities as other clubs, but they score. When I mean, they come down on a 2-on-1, they make the most of when they do get an opportunity, and that's also that's the sort of the quality of a good hockey player. Is you only get 2 or 3 shots a game. You score one of those, that's a good hockey player. And I mean, it's going to be an interesting game. It is going to be it's going to be an interesting game, an interesting test for both teams. And Hull's a fun place to play at. Yeah.
Looking at some of the other games that are taking place over the weekend, so Belfast actually taking on Hull on Friday night at the Odyssey, and then at home again to Fife on Saturday night. At 19 points clear, you've got to say they are pretty much nailed on to win the title. They can take another big step towards it with a couple of victories this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, those Hull and Fife. I think Fife is. I think Fife. They had quite a tight game with them earlier in the year.
Yeah, but it took it to overtime.
Yeah, so I mean that proves that on any given night in this league, any team can really. I don't want to say shock, because Fife's got a good roster. I mean, there's some very guys like Fulton and it's the goaltender. I can't.
Oh, Reagan.
Reagan. That's He's very good goaltender. Very good goaltender. He played with Chris Murray at college together, and Murray, I remember every time we played against him, said that he was, he's a good goaltender. So it's an interesting test for them. But that's, as we mentioned earlier in the show, Belfast is a first-class organisation, and they've got one hell of a team. So it should be a very, very interesting match this weekend for them.
Moving on to Sunday night, and one that's coming out is Sheffield against Coventry. So Sheffield with a tough game on Saturday night against us, hopefully. Yeah. Coventry's the way they're playing at the minute, that's not going to be easy. However, Coventry playing Braehead on Saturday, so there's the travel involved, but I'm expecting that to be a close one.
I think you're right. I think Sheffield do have their problems playing on Sundays as well. Well, they have had in the past, but I think they're a side that are starting now to improve.
Yeah, I think they're looking more like the team that we expected them to be.
You mean
when we was predicting them to win the league at the start of the season?
Yes. Yeah.
Trying to save face, of course.
Well, we didn't know, but I mean, Coventry have got a difficult game on the Saturday, but they've got a bit of form going. They'll, if they can keep the momentum going into that, it could be a really, really good game.
Well, we will be covering the games again next week. But Jonathan, I'd just like to say thank you very much for coming in. Really appreciate you being on the show, and thanks for giving us an insight into the dressing room and your career. Thank you very much.
Do it again some point this year.
Oh, I'm sure we will. And thanks to Paul as well.
You don't mean that, do you?
Yeah.
Not in the same sort of way. I'm here every week.
Yeah. If you're wondering where Aaron is, he didn't get eaten by a polar bear in the Arctic Circle, but he has been behind the scenes tonight. So thank you very much to Aaron, who will edit the show professionally as always. So we will be back next week. So until then, goodbye.